Hi everyone, I'm Jim, and today we're diving into a topic that so many people struggle with. Why do avoidants often come back when you do the exact opposite of what feels natural? If you've ever found yourself in that exhausting cycle, you give more, they pull away, you text, they go silent, then this video is for you. Here's the truth. The harder you try to hold on, the more you reinforce their belief that closeness equals pressure. So what's the solution? It's about flipping the script. And here's the exciting part. These moves aren't manipulative if you understand the real purpose. They're about taking your power back, investing in your own life, and no longer letting someone else define your worth. In today's video, I'll share 7 powerful reverse psychology principles. But this isn't just about making someone return, it's about emotional mastery, creating inner peace, and attracting from a place of confidence, not desperation. You'll learn how to stop the chasing cycle and start prioritizing yourself. Turn silence into your advantage. And most importantly, understand why these strategies only work when you truly detach emotionally. If you're ready to reclaim your peace and become a stronger, more secure version of yourself, watch until the very end, because the last part reveals the truth most people overlook. When you get this right, you won't even want them back anymore. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss the psychology insights and attachment strategies that help you love smarter and with confidence. Let's get started. Celebrate their distance instead of resisting it. This is the first principle and perhaps the hardest step for anyone who has ever been attached to an avoidant partner. Why? Because our natural instinct when someone pulls away is to panic and pull them closer. You text, "Are you okay?" You try to explain, you suggest talking things through, but here's the paradox. The more you chase, even from a place of love, the further they retreat. Why? Because for avoidance, closeness often equals pressure. When you run after them, you validate that belief. The solution? Do the exact opposite. When they say, "I need some space," instead of reacting with fear, smile calmly and say, "Absolutely, take all the time you need. I'll use this time for the things that matter to me too." And most importantly, mean it. Not as a manipulative tactic, but as a genuine decision rooted in the understanding that you don't need to control anyone to feel secure. When you do this, something fascinating happens in their mind. They were prepared for resistance, ready to justify why they needed space. But instead, you gave them what they thought they had to fight for: freedom. And when freedom comes so easily, it loses the value they imagined. Instead of feeling relieved, they start feeling empty. This is where cognitive dissonance kicks in. They expected you to panic, cling, send long emotional messages to fix things, but you remain calm, confident, and focused on your own life. That shatters the familiar script. They disappear, you chase, they regain control. Now that script is broken, and the space they fought for suddenly feels lonely. But for this principle to truly work, it must come from a place of authenticity, not manipulation. If you say, "Take all the time you need," but secretly stalk their social media every 10 minutes, they'll sense that anxious energy. Avoidants are highly sensitive to hidden pressure. So when you agree to give space, use that time to invest in yourself. Sign up for a new class, reconnect with friends, hit the gym, or simply rest and do things that make you happy. Not to prove a point, but to remind yourself that your life is full and valuable without needing them to complete it. And the most beautiful part? You'll realize that space isn't the enemy. Sometimes it's the perfect chance to see your relationship for what it truly is. Does it bring peace and security? Or are you clinging to someone who keeps running from what you need: genuine connection? Remember this: the right person will never require you to celebrate their distance to keep them. They'll want to be close to you naturally. So instead of resisting their distance, use it as a mirror. Are you acting from self-love or from fear of abandonment? That answer changes everything. After you've mastered the first principle, celebrating their distance instead of resisting it, you'll notice something interesting. Your energy starts to shift. You're no longer reacting from fear of abandonment, but from a place of calm authority. And that state of mind sets the stage for the second principle, one that truly disorients avoidants because it dismantles the power dynamic they've relied on for so long. That principle is, thank them for showing you who they are. Imagine this: They suddenly cancel a date you've been looking forward to. Or after a warm, intimate moment, they go cold and distant. In the past, your natural response might have been frustration. Why are you acting like this? Or desperate reassurance, seeking, is something wrong? But those reactions only reinforce their sense of control, that they can regulate the emotional climate of the relationship, and you'll adjust accordingly. Now, you do the opposite. When they cancel plans, you respond warmly. Thanks for letting me know early. I'll use this time for other things. When they grow distant, you quietly think, good, I'm getting clarity on who this person really is. This isn't sarcasm or passive aggression. It's rooted in one simple truth. You value reality over illusion. Why is this so powerful? Because avoidants operate on a familiar script. They withdraw, you panic, you try harder to reconnect. They believe their absence will increase their value in your eyes. But when you thank them and mean it, you're sending a completely different message. Your behavior doesn't make me invest more. It helps me recalibrate and protect my energy. And here's the kicker. They never expect this. They anticipate arguments or demands for explanation. Instead, you express gratitude for the clarity they've provided. That flips the entire dynamic. Instead of feeling in control, they sense their influence slipping. Most importantly, this isn't about manipulation. It's about reminding yourself that every signal they send is data for your decision-making. Rather than reacting out of pain, you process that data and ask, does this person meet my need for consistency and emotional safety? If the answer is no, you don't fight to change them. You simply choose to step back with dignity. The beauty of this principle is that it liberates you from the exhausting cycle of decoding mixed signals. You're no longer a detective. You're an observer, calmly deciding whether this relationship aligns with your values. And here's the real power. When you thank someone for revealing their truth, you position yourself as the chooser, not the one waiting to be chosen. You shift the question from, how do I make them love me, to, do I actually want this person in my life? That reversal of focus changes everything, and it radiates an authentic confidence that is naturally attractive. So, next time someone withdraws, cancels, or sends mixed signals, remember, it's not a catastrophe, it's clarity. And clarity empowers you to act intentionally rather than react impulsively. Thank them and then keep investing in yourself, because the right person won't make you decode them like a puzzle. After you've mastered the art of celebrating their distance and thanking them for showing you who they are, something profound begins to happen. Your focus shifts from, how do I keep them, to, how do I live fully for myself? And that's where the third principle comes in. Become genuinely busy and excited about your own life. This principle sounds simple, but it's the turning point in breaking the cycle of emotional dependence. Real attraction doesn't come from playing games or faking jealousy. It comes from truly enjoying your life, whether they're in it or not. What many people don't realize is that avoidants often believe they have unlimited time to return whenever they please because you'll always be waiting. They disappear, come back, and you're still there, arms wide open. That's why their absence feels risk-free. But when you start building a life so engaging that their presence is no longer central, they feel the shift not through staged social media posts, but through the authentic energy you radiate. Start by doing the things you've been putting off because this relationship consumed your mind. Enroll in that class you've wanted, reconnect with friends, plan a trip, or simply indulge in self-care. When you do this, you're not just filling your schedule, you're filling your heart with real joy. And here's the key. Don't do it to get their attention, do it because you deserve a life that excites you. What happens when you're truly busy? When they text, you don't rush to reply within minutes. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're genuinely occupied studying, working, laughing with friends. That natural delay sends a powerful message. Your world no longer revolves around them. You've become the center of your own life. This isn't coldness. It's a shift from passive waiting to active living. When you're immersed in your passions, you stop obsessing over, what are they thinking? Or, will they come back? You're too engaged to chase those questions. And ironically, that's when they start chasing you. But here's the best part. The real win isn't making them return, it's reclaiming yourself. You reconnect with the version of you that once thrived before fear of losing someone dimmed your light. And that clarity forces a bigger question. What do I truly want? An unstable relationship or a life that feels exciting and peaceful. Remember, energy doesn't lie. If you fake busyness to provoke a reaction, they'll sense the lack of authenticity. But if you genuinely love your life, that glow becomes magnetic. And here's the paradox. The less you try to attract them, the more attractive you become. So, grab your calendar and plan your week. Coffee with a friend, a new skill class, a personal project you abandoned. Every step is a declaration that you are the creator of your own happiness. And when you live this way, their distance no longer triggers. Panisit becomes the space where you grow stronger, freer, and more alive than ever. After you've embraced the principle of staying busy and building an exciting life, your energy begins to shift in ways that even you can feel. You're no longer trapped in waiting or craving validation. You've stepped into a place of self-sufficiency and calm. And that sets the stage for the fourth principle, one that goes straight to the heart of an avoidance defense mechanism. Agree with their negative beliefs about love. Picture this. You're having a casual conversation, and they throw out a line like, "All relationships end badly," or "Love just makes life complicated." In the past, you might have jumped in with reassurance. That's not true. If two people love each other, they can make it work. You believed your optimism could soothe their fears. But in reality, that response reinforced their control. They stayed in the skeptic's chair while you scrambled to keep the flame of hope alive. Who held the power in that dynamic? They did. This time, you do the opposite. When they say, "Relationships always fail," you calmly reply, "Yeah, I've thought that too sometimes." Or when they remark, "People just use each other," you nod and say, "Yeah, it can feel that way." Not with sarcasm or bitterness, but with a steady tone, as if you've just acknowledged a shared perspective. What happens in their mind at that moment? Their entire defense system short-circuits. Why? Because they rely on you to play the hopeful believer, so they can comfortably sit in doubt. It allows them to keep emotional distance while you shoulder the burden of optimism for both of you. But when you agree gently, without resistance, you pull the rug out from under that dynamic. Suddenly, they're not the grounded realist anymore. And when they lose that role, they experience a subtle but powerful discomfort. Here's the psychological twist. Deep down, avoidants don't truly want to believe love is hopeless. They say those things to shield themselves from pain. But when you stop trying to prove otherwise, the responsibility of holding hope shifts onto them. And ironically, that often sparks a desire to prove themselves wrong. They begin to soften not because you convince them, but because you stop trying to. This isn't about manipulation. It's about stepping out of a fight that was never yours to win. You don't need to be the guardian of hope in their story. You only need to maintain your peace and allow the silence to do what words never could. Show them that their fear is theirs to own, not yours to fix. When you truly embrace this principle, you'll feel an incredible sense of freedom. You stop arguing, stop persuading, stop spinning your energy in circles. Instead, you listen, you acknowledge, and then you return to living your life. And the paradox, the moment you stop carrying the weight of their doubts, they often start carrying the weight themselves. And that's when they lean toward you again. Remember this. You don't have to be their light so they can stop living in the dark. Just keep your own light steady and let them decide whether they want to step into it. After you've mastered the art of agreeing with their negative beliefs without resistance, you'll notice a new sense of ease settling in. You're no longer trapped in debates or desperate reassurances. And in that calm space, you're ready for the next principally, seemingly small shift that dismantles one of the avoidant's favorite tools of control. Stop engaging with unclear communication. Picture this. After days of silence, they send a one-word text, "Hey," or something vague like, "We should hang out sometime." In the past, you might have jumped in eagerly, trying to turn that breadcrumb into a real plan because you feared missing your chance. But that's exactly what reinforces their pattern of ambiguity. The new rule is simple but powerful. You don't respond to vagueness. A "hey" isn't an invitation. Sometime isn't a commitment. So why pour your energy into deciphering it? Let them carry the weight of their own lack of clarity. This shift creates an immediate psychological ripple. For the first time, ambiguity no longer works. You're no longer the decoder, the bridge, builder. Instead, you set a clear standard. If you want space in my life, show up clearly. When they realize mystery doesn't maintain their hold, they face two choices: disappear or step up with clarity. Either way, you win because you're no longer stuck in the anxious gray zone. But here's the key. This only works if you stay consistent. If you claim to reject ambiguity but cave later with a cheerful emoji, you've undermined yourself. This isn't a silent treatment game. It's a quiet assertion of self-respect. And from here, we naturally move to the sixth principle: mirror their emotional temperature without explanation. Avoidants swing hot and cold. In the past, you may have tried to compensate by staying steady and warm, hoping your constancy would calm their fears. But that stability often enables inconsistency. The solution? Reflect, don't compensate. When they're warm, you're warm. When they go cold, you quietly match that tone. Not in anger or pettiness, but as a natural, unspoken alignment. And the crucial part, you don't explain, you let them experience the reality they've created. For the first time, they feel the chill of their own inconsistency, and it often prompts them to seek the warmth they once took for granted. Finally, we arrive at the seventh and most liberating principle: become immune to guilt and emotional manipulation. Avoidants often lean on their wounds as shields or hooks. They share stories of betrayal, mistrust, and hurt, and you may have once thought, if I love hard enough, I can heal them. That's the trap. You're not their therapist. When they say, I just can't trust anyone after what happened, respond simply, that sounds tough. I hope you find healing. Sincere, short, and free of responsibility. Because healthy love cannot thrive on guilt or obligation. It thrives on choice and reciprocity. When you stop auditioning for the role of savior, you send a message as clear as daylight. I can empathize without abandoning myself. That ends the cycle of manipulation. We've walked through 7 powerful principles not to manipulate, but to liberate you. From celebrating their distance, thanking them for showing the truth, to building an exciting life of your own, agreeing with their cynicism, ignoring vague communication, mirroring emotional temperature, and finally, becoming immune to guilt. These are not tricks. They are the habits of someone emotionally secure, someone who knows their worth isn't tied to someone else's fear of closeness. Remember this line from Stephen Chbosky's The Perks of Being a Wallflower. We accept the love we think we deserve. If you've been chasing and proving your worth, maybe deep down, you've doubted it. Your real journey isn't to change the myths, to raise your own standards for love, so you only accept what honors your heart. Eric Fromm wrote in The Art of Loving, love is not something you fall into, it's something you build. That means true love begins with self-love, self-respect, peace, and the courage to choose the right person. And as M. Scott Peck says in The Road Less Traveled, real love is an act of will, a commitment to the growth of oneself and another. If being with someone stunts your growth or costs your peace, ask yourself, is this love, or is it attachment disguised as love? The ultimate truth? These principles don't just make an avoidant come back. They make you realize you don't need them to feel whole anymore. That's the real power move. If this video resonated with you, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this message so more people can learn how to love with confidence. Drop a comment below. Which principle spoke to you the most? And remember, the right person won't require psychological gymnastics to keep them. They'll stay because they choose you just like you've chosen yourself.